R9? Call me old-fashioned, but I don't think we should be R-ing anything. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Relic 9 continues to be a thorn in our side, and more it's being required. There's being more and more spaces made available to apply Relic 9 for characters, and in fact requiring us to apply them. So what are we going to do? Which characters deserve Relic 9? Which characters can wait? Etc. Let's talk about all of that nonsense immediately after I say thanks to my patrons. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being my patrons. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment. Let's mount the algorithm, as they say. I think we're allowed to mount things, guys, as far as I know. Like, mount 9 sounds fine to me. Let's get to it, folks. Whoa, we're in the game. This is madness. So, all right, Relic 9. Relic 9, it's the top tier currently. I know I made a video saying Relic 10's coming soon. I still think Relic 10 should be coming here soon because of all the Relic 9 that they're starting to put everywhere and require everywhere and everything. I think that they're going to make a push to eventually what we'll have to spend to get Relic 9 on a lot of this stuff, and then suddenly it'll be a lot more available. But let's talk about currently which things should we be putting Relic 9 on. And I think at first glance you think, well, let's put Relic 9 on our most overpowered characters, because we're going to use them everywhere, right? Galactic Legends, we use them everywhere, and this is an approximate list of the order I would Relic 9 them. I'm not saying you should Relic 9 all of them, but they are the most overpowered characters. They're the characters you're going to be using the most, and I mean, in a lot of ways, they're so good that you don't really need them to be Relic 9. There's no requirements anywhere other than Rise of the Empire territory battles where you kind of need them, though I will say, I think that out of all of them, we probably want to, well, I don't know if want to is the right word, but I think Jedi Master Luke is probably in a class of his own in terms of why you would Relic 9 him and not other characters. First off, he's a tank. Because he's a tank, he gets extra bonuses from going from Relic 8 to 9. They kind of made that the distinction. If you're going from 8 to 9, every character, of course, gets some kind of a boost, but tanks get an extra boost, in most cases at least. And so, yes, he gets more protection, and that's like, okay, well, cool, that's fine. Why does he need more protection? He doesn't even taunt. Oh, he does taunt, actually, and you wouldn't say that, because you're an educated fellow, you are. Or, lass, of course. So, here's the big thing, folks, and this makes a much bigger deal than a lot of people say. First off, it's an ice cream sandwich. I don't know why you wouldn't upgrade that, but otherwise, I do think that his ability that his leadership gives him, people use his protection, not theirs, his protection, to do damage. And everyone on his team, as long as they're Jedi, can use it. And it's a really nice jump to go from 8 to 9 and be able to get that. I would say this is what I would call like light mandatory. That no, it's not required anywhere else. But if you're going to have, like, if you want him to get the most bang for his buck, get him Relic 9, and it'll be nice. You'll be like, oh, that was nice. You'll see. He is very strong at Relic 9, folks. You don't have to. A lot of people will be like, I don't need him at Relic 8. I've also heard a lot of people say, oh man, I held out on Relic 8, or on Relic 9 for so long on him, and then I finally put it on, and wow, that makes an enormous difference. It's noticeable. It's really cool. So, Leia, she's also a tank. Hey, look at that. Amazing why she would be in that order. One thing I should point out, folks, with Galactic Legends, the other thing, all of them have this ability that's called Galactic Legend. And so it gives them plus 10% health and max protection per Relic Amplifier level. And so, that's nice. I mean, just that on its own, they're getting more bang for their buck just by virtue of, I guess you have to apply a Zeta for it, but it's a very nice boost. And going from 8 to 9, no, it's not necessarily worth the enormous price just to get another 10% boost, but the cumulative effect of multiple boosts of those 10% added up, well, you can add 10%. It's nice. It's cool. It's nice and cool. It's apparently summer, and I'm thinking about things that are cool. Cool. So, Lord Vader, he's just a tanky guy who wants... he needs every stat he can frankly get. Rey actually has a couple good reasons for it, folks. First off, she's so stat hungry. She only wants a couple stats, but the ones that she wants, she can get from relic levels. Not to mention, Whirlwind does more damage per relic level that she gets, which is nice and cool. You also have the... oh, hey, look at that, the Galactic Legend. Seems like there was maybe one other one, but I think that's probably it, right? I'm gonna pause and make sure. Oh well, I couldn't find anything else, guys. I'm kind of sleepy apparently, but one way or another, the Whirlwind is nice. Of course, the Galactic Legend boost is nice, and then she really wants a ton of offense, a ton of health, and you get those for Relic 9. Now, the other ones, Supreme Leader Kylo, believe it or not, he wants the health more than he wants the offense. He wants both. He doesn't get a huge amount of both. The boost it's fine. You actually notice it more than you'd think, but it's not crazy. Silly Eternal Emperor, Backpack Emperor, he's ready for his adventure, folks. As soon as he chops his disgusting nails off, he just wants to survive, guys. He just wants to live, as Good Charlotte sings. Jabba is an overwhelming presence, is what most of his companions would say. He just dominates the room, guys. Literally, physically dominates it. And another relic level on him is, here's the thing, guys. With Jabba, there's a lot of fights that turn into timeouts against him, and the more relics you put on him, the more likely that's going to happen. Now he's kind of lower on the end of the lower end of things, because I don't think it makes as huge, crazy, and as much of a difference as it used to when he was first released, when people were on the very brink of disaster every time they fought him. I think there's been more tech, there's been more things that have been released and information shared, that it's not as big of a threat anymore. But he's still, Relic 9, it's cool, it's nice. Kenobi, I would go as far as to say is don't do this. He ramps his damage pretty well. He does some cool stuff. Honestly, I would say typically Kenobi can be one relic lower than all the other Galactic Legends that you have. In this case, I have all at 9. He's at 8, and there's a reason for that. So let's talk about other things though, guys, because Galactic Legends shouldn't be our main focus, I don't think. I think we should be talking a little bit more about requirements. Now there's more requirements, guys, at Relic 9. We have Darth Revan and Malak, of course, for Leviathan. We have Radis for Profundity. And CG has announced that Ahsoka Tano Snips will be required for the new Galactic Legend Ahsoka. That'll be pretty cool and nice. However, I'm honestly, she's really worthwhile. She is. She's Relic 8 here, non-ironically for me. I haven't worked on her for like over a year. She's just really strong at Relic 8 because she's a pilot. She fits really nicely into a ton of different Jedi and Galactic Republic comps. She's really strong. All of these characters at Relic 9 are characters that I'm not going to really regret. They are all really strong for various reasons, and I don't think we need to talk about them too much because you're going to have to do them anyway. Even if you think I'm full of it and that you think they suck, you have to do it anyways. And that's me gloating a little bit. Now, there are other reasons to apply Relic level 9 to characters, and let's talk about the philosophy for it a little, because honestly, guys, this is something, my guild is not territory war centric, frankly. I don't love territory wars. I don't know if you could tell by my content. Some people seem surprised when I tell them that on my live streams or something, but I'm not a huge fan of territory wars. Yes, I'll play them. I want them to revamp And anyways, my guild doesn't take a huge amount of effort in territory wars, which is fine, that's what I want. However, that makes the supply of droid brains a lot more scarce. I don't have a ton of droid brains because we don't win all of our territory wars. We don't even win half of them. And that's no shade on my guild mates in my guild. It's just we don't care as much about that game mode, and we therefore don't have as much access to droid brains. So what things should we spend it on? Which things should we consider? Because it's a valuable resource. What things warrant our attention for Relic 9, especially because the boost that we get from it isn't as crazy as we might think. First off, I would say, and these are new characters that just came out, of course, and they're farmable though in easy to farm locations. I would say the new Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are, I'm calling them pseudo-required. It's very similar to what I think Jedi Master Luke is. The thing is, they're a very strong couple of characters. Even if you don't have Queen Amidala to go with them, yes, they go a lot better with Queen Amidala, but you could put them with like Qui-Gon team. You could put them with a lot of different Galactic Republic teams. You could do some cool stuff with them. In general, they're going to be very strong, but then we also have this assault battle that gives a crazy amount of resources, folks. Tons of resources, including droid brains. Now, if you have the droid brains to spend already, eventually the event, after a year and some months, will eventually replenish your supply of droid brains. And in the interim, you get some characters that are pretty good. They're probably going to be on one of the better squads out there for a long time. I think that this squad is, these two characters specifically, are pretty close to required, and they're also, for the next 8-ish months, going to be extremely instrumental in destroying the stupid Clanker raid. So I think that they're worthwhile. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Even if you get them to just Relic 7, only Relic 7, they're going to be good, no matter how you look at it, in my opinion, folks. We'll see if that test stands the test of time. But then there's also, for Relic 9, guys, this is something that I would say is probably the most back-burnerish thing ever. This is the most luxury reason to ever put Relic 9 on. But I do want to just mention that because I think it's somewhat legitimate, at least. Having those Rise of the Empire special mission characters up to Relic 9. Bo-Katan requires a full squad at Relic 9. I think that there's an Inquisition team that requires Relic 9. There's probably a few other ones. Do it if you want. I think there's an Afra squad that also does it. I wouldn't recommend it, guys, but it's something, if someone really wants a stretch goal, that's something you can do. Platoons for Rise of the Empire, if you're in a guild that likes to do Rise of the Empire at a high level, eventually you're going to need Relic 9 once you get to Phase 5 or 6, or 6, then you can see it. So I put Cup here because it's funny. Haha, it's a meme, get it? But then, non-ironically, I do have Traya here. I wouldn't have taken her to Relic 9, except that was the thing that I agreed with my guild. Hey, I'll get her to Relic 9. I also have Grand Inquisitor at 9. And both of those characters are very usable. I'm not worried at all. I'm not complaining about having them at 9. On the other hand, not characters that I would typically just put droid brains on just for fun. They're good characters and they're usable, and I think that's one of the criteria that you need to be looking at. How often do I use this character? Will it make my life substantially easier to put Relic 9 on it? It might be worthwhile just for that criteria alone. So Traya, not a target for Relic 9, except she's used in platoons, and therefore probably worthwhile. Now another thing, Relic 9, or the new raid, has a Relic 9 level, and we don't get rewards, like a higher box of rewards yet. This is one of the reasons I think CG is going to give us Relic 10 eventually soonish, because these are, I mean, not a lot of people are going to do this, but if you want to get them to Relic 9, I put these characters here. I don't think any of these guys are worthwhile to get to Relic 9 on their own merits. Queen Amidala to 9, a lot of people are going to be putting her on there, because you can do a 3-man with her, and then Qui-Gon and Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan, and So she's going to get Relic 9 just by virtue of being a raid character, where you can do a 3-man with 3 Relic 9s. That's not a terrible deal if you can do it consistently. I have questions about how consistently we're going to be able to do it, but that's something that I may be putting on my short list as well. Putting the Gungans to 9. Luminara is such a sad one, guys, because she's going to go back to being pure crap in about 8 months. I see people Relic 9ing her. It makes me sad. So, that's one reason, though. The current raid now has a Relic 9 tier, and that's relevant for some people. Now, if you want to have a list of other characters that might be worthwhile, like there are some cool tanks. As I said before, folks, you get a nice little boost when you're working on these. Here, let's zoom out a little bit. Like Jedi Training Rey, she's an evasion tank, which is awesome because as her mastery increases and Rey increases her, if she's on the Rey, Galactic Legend Rey, her team, she's increasing Jedi Training Rey's mastery all the time, and so she's getting dodge all the time. So this dodge, getting it up to 9, yeah, that's a nice little hop from 21% to 24.5, but then on top of that, you're getting even more as you increase your mastery from Rey's shenanigans, and so she might be worth it. Now, I wouldn't say, I guess the main point I want to be making here, though, folks, to be real clear, is these tanks are cool, and that they may make you want to do Relic 9 on them. I don't know if they're necessarily worthwhile, but tanks are the ones that receive the most boost. Like, you see, look at the stats you get from 5s here. You get what, 13,000 health and another almost 20,000 protection, just going from 8 to 9. Is that worthwhile? I don't know. His ship probably helps make it more worthwhile because it does more damage in that case, but Kylo Ren Unmasked, another good tank, and he's used everywhere. He's very plug and play. He's a character that can be used on both First Order and on a ton of other squads. Like he's an unaligned Force user as well, which gives him utility in a lot of different quarters these days. Royal Guard, I've told you guys a million times that getting him to Relic 5 and calling it quits with Lord Vader is a huge no-no. He's so easy to kill at Relic 5. Even a couple boosts of his Relic level, get him up to 7 or 8 is nice and cool, both. But health and protection from 8 to 9 is crazy. He's been on my wish list forever, and he wants the stats that they give, and it seems worthwhile. I wouldn't do it for his ship, but his ship is neat as well. So the Empire Trooper is another one. He's only a 7 for me, so need a couple boosts, but he's also probably worthwhile. So some of the tanks might be a worthwhile endeavor, right, for targeting. However, I would argue that the following characters, in no particular order, are probably the best for Relic 9. Well, first, this is probably my favorite for Relic 9, guys. More and more, as I've used him on offense, for a long time, he just went on defense because he had a good datacron. He had all kinds of stuff that, like Jedi Cal wasn't out yet, or at least wasn't widely unlocked, and so putting him on defense, there wasn't a good option, man. He was just destroying people while he was on defense. Now there are a lot of options to take him out, and you don't necessarily want to put him on defense all the time. On offense, however, in GAC, guys, in 3s especially, he tends to be my one, like, okay, he can't kill many Galactic Legends, but what out there that isn't a Galactic Legend can't he kill? He just takes everything out. He takes out Inquisition, he takes out, well, sometimes the Gungans. So they have a datacron right now, so I'm guessing he will, once the guns stop having their datacron fun. He does a whole lot, folks. He destroys so many teams. He's not turn meter reliant. He just makes his team crazy fast, hit really hard, makes the opponent's team all go into just crazy amounts of fear, increasing their own cooldowns because of the fear. He is just so crazy good. And at Relic 9, he is specifically very strong, folks. It's not just that he's really good, or his squad's really good, but he in particular is one of the reasons the squad is good. Not just his leadership, he's not just a figurehead, he's more of a bald head, to be honest, but he does a crazy amount of damage with this move, Dark Deception. And I mean, it goes right here. Deal true damage, that means ignore crit anything, it just does true damage. It ignores armor as well, however. It has 40% of Darth Malgus's max health. And it inflicts doubt, it does all this stuff, but the doing damage 40% of his max health, remember, he's gaining a huge amount of health, going from 8 to 9, and you want every single last ounce of health. You can see I have him modded to have health on every single mod, not to mention high-ish health secondaries on the ones that I can. He does a crazy amount of damage. He does even more damage once he gets from 8 to 9, that jump. In my opinion, he's another one of those pseudo-required characters at Relic 9. If you have him, yeah, he does pretty cool at Relic 7 or whatever. I mean, you throw him on defense, you can do, you won't notice that much of a difference if you're fighting him. If he's on defense, when you're using him though, every last ounce of extra health is helpful, and he actually uses that. He actually makes use of it. Now, in no particular order, folks, let's try to move a little quickly through these. Jar Jar. I don't like him either, guys. Look at his stupid teeth, man. Could someone just punch him in them for me? Here, face that way. I'm sick of... So I think you look better that way. All right. So, which one is this? Okay, so here's the reason why you would put 9 on him. The only reason, guys, really. But this is in GAC. It's a GAC Omicron, and it starts the shield generator with 2 stacks of plasma shielding for every 3 relic amplifier levels. So if he goes up to 3, he gives them an extra 2. If he goes up to 6, he gives them 4. If he goes up to 9, he gives 6, and every single stack of those shields are going to be really helpful in the long run. So this is a nice Omicron. It's also cool, and I would assume that if you're going to take the Gungan team seriously, you're probably going to want that Omicron, and therefore, this is GAC only, you're going to get more stacks of that shielding. If you don't want to do that, don't give him Relic 9, guys. That's the reason to give him 9. It's a good team. It's a good reason, in my opinion, but... General Skywalker. So I made a Relic 9 guide about 6 months ago, and you always want to put a few fresh new things in, and also there's just going to be a lot of overlap because these characters haven't stopped being good at Relic 9. General Skywalker, he's the only guy in the game who, like, he keeps getting hurt and then he just comes back. He regrows all of his protection. And you have to just kill him over and over and over again on an effective level. And so you want to give him as much protection as possible because he's going to be using it. People have to chew through it an indefinite number of times if he's on the 501st at least. And he's also he's very tanky if you give him the right mods, if you give him a ton of protection, and giving him the boost from 8 to 9 is just, I mean, you only get a little boost on protection, I suppose, but you also get extra damage, you get all this other stuff. He's a good add to Relic 9, in my opinion. You could do something with that. You don't have to, guys. Relic 8's pretty good. The boost to 9 is substantial in terms of you get a nice little add-on to his protection. He gets a little more armor, he gets a little more damage, and he's a character that he uses his protection so many times, he just cycles through, that it's nice to have that as a base level of protection that you can then use modding to boost his protection on. Such a strange thing to have offense set with protection primary. Mace is another character, guys. Relic 9. I swear, I've seen a lot of people push back on this. There are a lot of people who are like, dude, Mace sucks. He's not worthwhile. He has a bad ship. And I can understand that before his rework. But more and more, guys, he's a character that you want on so many different teams. He stops people from being able to be in stealth. He's able to call people. He's like, do you trade turn meter with people. He's able to permanently reduce max health and max protection. He's able to stun people. He does ability block on basic. He calls people to assist and hands them turn meter. He does all this crazy stuff. He's a tank that auto taunts. He doesn't actually have to use an ability to taunt. He just passively gets the taunt. He dispels. He stuns. I mean, the list goes on, folks. And he does damage based, I mean, it's just a small amount of damage based off of his max health. It's just 5% of his max health. But, man, he's a character that is very busy on a lot of different teams. He wants to be on all the Galactic Republic teams, all the Jedi teams. He just wants to be destroying people. And usually he gets his wish. And the reason you want to get him to 9, though, folks, is that he's going to take a lot of hits. He's going to be passively taunting quite a bit. He's also going to be hitting them back for their transgressions. He's going to be stunning people where he can. You know, lots and lots of stats that he wants, folks. Tons of stats. And therefore, as a tank, he's getting that nice health and protection boost from Relic 9. Definitely worthwhile. And then, I mean, you can see I've modded him. I have an offense. What am I doing, man? Offense on the... This is so weird. Wonder why I did that. I'll have to figure that out later. But he wants lots of health, lots of offense, lots of everything. He just does it all, man. He's very worthwhile at Relic 9. Maul, we've talked about him in like every video that he wants more relic levels. Let's go through it as quickly as possible here, folks. He gets to double dip. He gets to do damage based off of his health and based off of his damage stats. And so as he's getting more relic levels, he gets more damage from both things. So he's probably going to be one of my early Relic 10s. Robot Leg Maul, really good stuff because of Anguish. That gives him damage based off of his max health. And then obviously his actual damage. Pretty good stuff. Ben Solo, he does more damage. And he actually gets a bigger boost from this than the majority. So you'll normally, if you're not a tank, you only get like 200 extra offense or something. Ben gets another like, I don't know, 500-ish, which is nice. I don't know if it's cool. He's not cool. He's sweat stained. So let's go through this really quick. Chrysanthemum, he's a character who wants as many stats as he can because he's the tank. He's going to be taking a ton of hits. He has an Omicron that boosts his protection. He does a lot of really cool things when he has a lot of relics. People get him to Relic 7 and stop, or even I see people put him at 5. It's so easy to kill, and it's so crazy. Relic 9, he's one of the strongest tanks in the game, just specifically for one Galactic Legend. He doesn't really he's not plug and play, but if you're serious about your Jabba squad, he's definitely someone you want to get to 9, even if you don't get the rest of the team super high up. Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, he's a character. He's like, hey, what's up? He's also, man, he's part of the future, right? He's going to be part of the Imperial Remnant squads. That all that stuff is coming out. Maybe they'll leave him behind specifically. We don't really know yet what that faction's going to be like. But what I do know is he has a crazy high protection and defense field. And if you can just make it like, and he also has crazy strong regeneration throughout the squad. So as he's losing his protection, he auto taunts, so he's a tank, so he's gaining all these stats. There's a ton of reasons to be working on him. He's also very strong in territory wars. He does a lot of stuff, and on a personal level, he's tanking a ton and then recovering it and regenerating it, making him incredibly tough to take out. Look at that, I'm almost at 200k protection. I'm sure other people will show theirs and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm way better than Zareth, and it's probably true. They probably are. Drogon's a good target for 9, folks. He does one thing that I never knew about, guys. The first time he uses his basic, he does a crazy hard hit. That it's not just when he assists or something, or when he does a follow-up shot after using one of his specials. When you use his basic, that it's something that's kind of concealed, but he does an enormous amount of damage, like 6 figures worth of damage. And it's just not something I've never ever really noticed until someone pointed it out. But it's true. His first time shooting is really crazy. And so giving him even just a little bit more of an offense boost makes him that much more dangerous, because he's on squads that are going to be tackling Galactic Legends, and he needs that extra little oomph. IG-88, the only reason to do this, folks, is to make your IG-2000 fast enough to force your opponent to have a Relic 8 Plo Koon in ships, and that's probably enough, honestly, guys. Otherwise, he's not really worth 9 on the ground. I'm sorry. Baze is a really good tank, and he wants to be everywhere. Probably making a video about it somewhat soon, so let's talk about that later. Now, characters I kind of regret putting up to Relic 9. Now, Riva is someone I use an enormous amount of time, and she's a tank. You might ask why I regret her. They forgot to give her the tank boost. That she's a tank, but she doesn't get the boost from it going from 8 to 9. That's really the only reason I regret it. She's a character that I use a lot, but she doesn't get the kind of boost that a tank would want, and she is a tank, so is 8 probably acceptable for her? I think so. I don't think you really need 9, even though she's really good, and I put all of her Omicrons on, all of her Zetas, etc. I just think 8's probably enough. Bosk I had in the list last time as a character that everyone should be striving for, but as we continue to progress down the road of madness, he's just less and less relevant, guys. He used to be able to tank so much, and he still can, but for what reason? Who's going to help him? Who's, like, bounty hunters are just less and less relevant, guys. It makes me really sad to say it, but it's true. Yes, he becomes just totally obscene because he has all this protection. You can give him a ton more protection. And then, on top of all of that, though, his leadership gives him 50% more protection. Seems really nice. And his ship is also used to be one of the best ships in the game. Still is one of the best ships in the game. I just don't think he needs 9 anymore, because he used to tank all the hits from Maul. You're just not using that comp against bounty hunters often enough to warrant it, folks. Darth Bane is really strong. He's really good, and I don't think he needs 9. I put him up to 9 at one point because I got click happy and accidentally went from 8 to 9. I don't know what to tell you guys. He likes the extra stats. He does. He boosts, he kind of ramps his damage and all of that, and it's nice to start at a higher platform, but I don't think he needs it necessarily. I don't think you necessarily need him at 9. Now, in theory, real quick, guys, why do these characters want 9? I wouldn't say I advise it even. I would just say, as a thought experiment, Queel likes it because he shares his stats. He shares at the start of the battle with other Scoundrel and Droid allies. He gives them 40% of his health, offense, and potency. The health and offense, though, and max protection. So it's nice to be able to hand his whole team some stats. CLS also hands his whole team stats based off of, Chupio steals some of his stats and then hands them out to the rest of the team. Grievous ramps his damage. His damage is all based on health, and he ramps his damage now, especially with Stap. He's ramping. He can't stamp ramping. Okay. Anyways, he wants an enormous number of stats, guys. Lots of health, lots of health, and I guess some potency. Maybe he does a lot of damage. And he wants more health. Vander Chewy. He gets rid of some of his protection, and then independent of that, he also just gains 80% more health. And then this Freedom Fighter shot does damage based on his max health. And it actually, instead of, how some tanks, it's like, oh, cool, I got him a really high offense number, he's going to do some damage, and then it's just really disappointing because they don't do anything. He gets the kill shot so often. He does an enormous amount of damage on his team. He does more damage than Dash does, in my opinion. So, getting him up to 9, Look at all that extra health he gets, guys. It's nice. It's awesome. It's amazing. Star Killer, he wants it because he does damage based off of offense, and he calls a Star Destroyer that does max health % damage as well, folks. So that's it. That's Relic 9 for you. I hope you had fun. I had fun. It was cool. It was awesome. It was something. Guys, thank you so much for watching this. And remember that in all things, Xerath prevails.